Before you get it started tutoring and mentoring with us, we wanted to give you a quick introduction to the online whiteboard platform we use, which is called GroupWorld. So I have an example room up here. So our interactive whiteboards are split into rooms, which means you'll have one whiteboard space that you share specifically with your student. So first of all, this means that all of your sessions are recorded, and anything left on the whiteboard during your last sessions will still be there for you. So you'll enter the room and log in each time, and there's a voice connection. So on the left side of my screen here, you can see the red bar going up and down, and that indicates that I'm speaking. If another person was logged in, there would also be an icon here for your student. So GroupWorld works sort of like a walkie-talkie. It's best if only one person talks at a time, so pay just a little bit of attention during your session to whether the other person is really done speaking or not. And at the bottom left, you can adjust the microphone and volume levels if you're having trouble hearing your student, or maybe your microphone isn't picking you up quite well enough. So we have lots of tools in GroupWorld, and you'll become a GroupWorld expert as you work with your student, but we wanted to give you a quick introduction to some of them. So the first tool is that you can type. So that's with the text button right here, and then you click anywhere on the screen, and you get teeny tiny text that shows up. So the bars along the right-hand side of the toolbar actually change the size of everything. They look like line weight buttons, and they are that, but they also change the size of the text. Now, make sure to press enter after typing anything or click somewhere else on the screen. Otherwise, it'll just show up as a temporary image for you and your partner will not see it. Okay, so right below the text tool, we have a sort of mysterious looking button. This is our freehand tool, so this allows me to draw onto the screen. So I can maybe draw out an equation or something like that. Some of our mentors prefer drawing everything, many type more, so it's totally up to you which you use. And at the bottom, you can change the colors of absolutely everything. Okay, a couple tools in the middle here. We have a laser pointer, so as long as you're clicking, you can see where the mouse is. And this is really useful if either you're trying to point something out to your student, or your student is trying to point something out to you, like, oh, I don't understand what's happening here. We also have a pan tool. So essentially this whiteboard is slightly bigger than it looks. So I can pan around my screen here and move back and forth and give myself a little more space. And this is super helpful if you're trying to sort of mimic what you would normally do when you're solving an equation, maybe working down the paper or something like that. You can just keep going. And then, let's see, you can also use a trash can button to clear an entire screen. So say that I just made a terrible mistake on this screen and I wanted to get rid of all of it. It will warn me about it. So you have to confirm that you want to clear the screen, but it's a good way to get rid of big mistakes. So if I continue sort of drawing here, right above the trash can, there's also an eraser tool, so I can also erase sort of a smaller piece of what I've done recently. Because we do offer algebra tutoring and mentoring, it is essential for us to have a grid. So the grid button is right here. It always pops up a dialog, so you have to have draw grid lines checked, and you can select how many rows and columns you want. Press OK, and you have a grid, which is great for graphing or for making a chart of X and Y values, whatever you really want to use it for. To remove the grid, press the same button again, uncheck draw grid lines, and then press OK, and it'll go away. So obviously there are lots of other tools here. You can draw shapes, you can do whatever you want, there's lots of choices. There are just a few other buttons that you should find useful. So the first is that you can have multiple pages. So going up to the top here, you can see I'm on page 1. If I click my right arrow button, then it takes me to page 2. So, maybe you want to move on to an entirely new problem or something like that. We ask that you keep no more than 10 pages at a time because it takes a long time to load if you go much over that. So once you get to page 10 or so, start clearing old pages rather than, starting a new one every time. We also have a clear all button. This clears all your pages. Honestly, you probably won't ever have a reason to use this. It does pop up a dialog box just like everything else does, but you cannot undo that action with our undo button down here, so make sure you're really sure about it. We also have a chat feature. So if you're having trouble hearing your student, for instance, you can open up a chat chat window and send a message back and forth. This can be really great, as I said, for audio problems or anything along those lines. And then finally, as you may remember, there is a program coordinator in the classroom with the students for every RTM session. And so if you are having trouble hearing your student or you think they might have wandered away, maybe you want a way to get in touch. So this lifesaver button up at the very top allows you to do that. So when you click that, it will send both an email and a text to your program coordinator, letting them know that you need a little help and they should pop over to the computer that your student is working on. So there are obviously lots of other features. We really encourage you to get in there and sort of play around with it on your own. You'll do your mentor interview in this interface. And if you have any questions, just let us know.